Uh, yeah, so having interacted with law enforcement, military, private military, recently just did a video on how law enforcement's fucked up. Uh, I guess I thought I'd talk a little bit about how private military contractors are fucked up, and I know there's a Death Valley Mag. They dissect contractors actually pretty well. They're pretty explicit with a lot of the personalities you'll find out there. So check them out. So I'll kind of echo a lot of his sentiments. Um, but I noticed by taking away and I spoke about it a little bit in the AUSA video, but you remove a lot of that structure, the esprit de corps, and kind of replace that with a more corporate attitude, and you'd be surprised at how dramatically it changes people's outlooks and their behavior. Um, One of the biggest problems in my mind, and what is the most common, is the mercenary attitude. And a lot of us like to say, "Hey, we're not mercenaries, ideologically, legally, or otherwise." But it's actually a pretty common attitude. I don't care what I'm doing, who I'm killing, just want to get paid. Fuck slot bodies, just drop hammers on people. Um, and that sets a really bad attitude. People like that will perform poorly out in sector because they're there to cash the paycheck. They're not there to protect the principal. They're not there to enable our nation partners to do their job. They're not there to actually train indig forces, correctly. So again, it's kind of a wrong think. I'm telling people that you shouldn't think that way because it affects what you do downrange, and it affects your actions on. You know what I mean? So that's a big one. Other than that, the cliquishness of the military persists. People are very badge protectory. That's not a word. They like to protect their badge, and the good old boy system. To say that's present in the private military or contracting industry is like saying I don't know. It's like saying that you'll get fucking raped and murdered if you go to Mexico City. No, that's horrible. That's a terrible joke. It's like it's an understatement, is what it is. Um, I was talking to someone about a upcoming contract that was not announced yet. I don't think it's been announced currently as I speak. And he was potentially going to be tapped to pick the team, which is cool, great. I was very happy for him. He's a good guy. But I asked him, I said, who are you going to pick? He said, man, I'm going to pick anyone with a ranger scroll. There it was. He was a former ranger bat, and he just wanted to hook his buddies up. And I get that to an extent, but are they the most qualified? And that's sort of an irrelevant question to a lot of people. It's more, where are my friends at? And so that's actually why you'll have a lot of, excuse me, it's one of the reasons you'll have contractors in positions and they're actually, in reality, woefully underqualified for it. The second reason for that is creative interpretation of contract requirements, but that's kind of a whole separate discussion. So good old boy system, mercenary attitude, and probably my biggest pet peeve, and you kind of have this in the Army, but it's more prevalent here, is people being the sum of their prior experiences and nothing more. By that I mean, well, this one time in band camp, motherfuckers. No matter how new or old they are to the contract, they don't ever leave what they did in the Army. And if you ever talk to any of the instructors for any contracts, it's one of their more hated archetypes that they encounter. Well, I did this in Ranger Bat. This is how I did it in Ranger Bat. This is how I did it in Special Forces Group. Or when I was on task force, this is what we did. The big thing with contracting is you're not that person anymore. And while you have all those experiences and skills in your toolbox, oftentimes you have to perform within the contract standards, and usually, depending on who your client is, that will dictate a lot of your SOP. And the whole point of being a good contractor is being able to adapt to the client's demands. To being able to operate without CAS and your SOPMOD Block 2 carbine, being able to do what you need to do with less. It's almost always going to be less. You very rarely have more than you need. So that's a big issue. And no matter how deprecated their skills are, no matter how deprecated their physical fitness is, they'll always kind of feel superior. So anyone new to contracting, I feel like I'm spitting food everywhere. Anyone new to contracting, I would recommend don't talk about your prior experiences, because it's largely irrelevant. So long as you pass the PT test, pass your fucking shooting tests, you're good to go in my book. For me personally, I don't give a fuck what you did prior to coming on contract. My only concern is that you do your job well. You don't sham, you don't malinger, you pull your weight, and when it comes time to react to ambush, you're not going to curl up in a ball. So I largely don't care. I've personally seen civilians perform better than prior service combat guys who allegedly saw a lot of action. So I don't really hold a lot of judgment. But everyone's pretty identitarian, I guess. Everyone's very focused on what they used to be, and I think a part of that is we don't have unit patches, we don't have deployment patches, we don't have medals, as contractors. So people look for an identity. People look for a sense of belonging, and I feel like most veterans, they fall back on their most memorable moments, whether it's in a line company, in JSOC or whatever. But again, big point with contracting is you're no longer that person. You're someone else. You're now a security professional, and for a security professional to with increasing frequency reference deprecated knowledge and skills, that's a bad thing. That means you're not long for this world. And I kind of I mention it when I film some of these videos, is a lot of my knowledge and a lot of my skills have deprecated. So to trust them, wholly would be a fool's errand, right? It's just simply a different perspective. It's an aging perspective, and they're simply for reference. So anyway, that's why I think contractors are fucked up. Yeah, I mean they're fucking insanely. And I guess this goes in line with badge protecting, right? They're insanely competitive, and I knew a guy who had his passport stolen to prevent him from taking another contract that was a hot fill. The same guy stopped communicating with me because I had gotten a job that he wanted. So it's very backbiting, and you can argue that was the case in the military, but I feel like it's a little more acute here. So I don't know. Maybe it's not. I don't know. But that's, I feel like the contracting industry simply exacerbates a lot of the more negative traits within soldiers. So, and the biggest cultural negative is the mercenary attitude. So yeah, I will see you next time when I talk shit on military culture.